"You're too refined for a server. Perhaps we'll showcase you on stage this evening." That single, scornful comment initiated a chain of events. Maya Johnson, a reserved African-American server at an exclusive charity gala, arrived to serve, not to entertain. Yet when she was facetiously asked to dance, what transpired silenced the city's wealthiest attendees. What concealed resilience could one woman display against an audience anticipating her failure? This is an account of quiet dignity, inherent talent, and unforeseen triumph. A narrative you won't soon forget, dear viewer. If you're encountering my storytelling for the first time, I humbly request you indicate your viewing location, subscribe to this channel, and activate the bell icon immediately to receive notifications for my daily published news stories. Thank you, and let's delve into the complete narrative. Maya Johnson adjusted the immaculate white cuff of her uniform sleeve as she stepped into the magnificent ballroom of the Langford estate. The early afternoon light streamed through the colossal windows, illuminating the intricate gold leaf adorning every surface. The marble floors gleamed and crystal chandeliers shimmered overhead. It was the day of the annual Langford Charity Gala, a display of affluence and status. For Maya, it signaled, "Are you all right, Maya?" Harold Banks, the seasoned head of staff, approached her, his closely cropped gray hair and deep-set eyes always seeming to offer a sense of security. Yet she couldn't help but notice every detail: the elaborate floral arrangements imported from Paris, the live orchestra softly rehearsing on stage, the seating chart that segregated donors from distinguished guests. "Clara," Harold called to a younger server hurrying past. Clara Lewis, with her buoyant curls and wide eyes, rushed to Maya's side. "We're assigned together tonight. Good luck," she whispered. Maya nodded, inwardly steeling herself. The elite attendees of these galas enjoyed testing the staff, particularly the black servers. It was perpetually a game: provoke, disparage, await a misstep. By late afternoon the guests began arriving. Luxury cars and limousines formed a gleaming procession outside. The ballroom buzzed with conversations and champagne. Then Veronica Langford made her entrance, a vision in emerald silk. The gala's organizer and heiress to a banking fortune, Veronica carried herself with regal bearing. She barely acknowledged the servers except to correct or admonish. Trailing her were two prominent figures of the elite social scene: Carter Blake, a real estate magnate with a perpetual smirk, and Jessica Kent, an influencer whose every motion was documented by her personal assistant. As Maya discreetly served canapés near the entrance, she overheard Carter's boisterous voice. "Same faces every year, Veronica. You should enliven it. Hire a jester, perhaps." Jessica tittered, "Or better yet, create one." But Maya's presence did not go unnoticed. Veronica's gaze lingered on her as she passed. There was calculation in the woman's eyes. When Maya presented a glass of white wine to Carter's table, he gave her a slow, exaggerated once-over. Harold was waiting near the kitchen doors. "I observed you. Maintain your composure," he advised, "but something's brewing." Maya suppressed her irritation. "I'll manage." As the orchestra prepared for the evening's performance, Maya's hands tightened around her tray. The night wasn't over. The challenges were just commencing. The ballroom had transformed. Soft candlelight replaced sunlight, casting elongated shadows along the gilded walls. The orchestra struck a delicate chord. Servers in black and white wove through the sparkling labyrinth of gowns and tuxedos. Maya moved with practiced precision, offering champagne flutes on a silver tray. She avoided eye contact with guests unless necessary. It was simpler that way. But tonight, Veronica Langford had an alternative agenda. Near the center of the ballroom, Veronica held court with her inner circle: Carter Blake, Jessica Kent, and a handful of old-money socialites. Their laughter resonated above the string music. Jessica, in a shimmering silver gown, sipped her cocktail and leaned toward Veronica. "Have you noticed that one?" she inquired, gesturing toward Maya. Veronica's lips curled. "Yes, quite. Poor soul, serving drinks?" Jessica's eyes sparkled. "What if we made her part of the entertainment?" Veronica raised her brow. "Proceed," Jessica grinned. "Let's request her to dance for the guests. See if her composure endures under scrutiny." Carter chuckled. "Brilliant, a minor diversion." "And if she declines?" an older gentleman inquired. "Then we've had our amusement," Veronica said smoothly, But if she accepts, her smile widened, well, that's a spectacle worth witnessing. Maya, meanwhile, was unaware of the unfolding plot. She was focused on balancing a tray of delicate desserts. But as she passed near the circle, Veronica's voice resonated. You there? Maya paused, tray steady. Yes, ma'am. Such grace. Have you ever danced, dear? Veronica asked, her tone syrupy. Maya hesitated. Not professionally. Jessica clapped her hands. Oh, that's perfect. You simply must join the stage tonight. One dance for charity, of course. A small crowd began to assemble, ears tilted toward the scene. Harold, observing from a distance, stiffened. Maya's heart pounded. She was cornered. I am here to serve, she stated calmly. But tonight, Veronica purred, you will entertain. Don't disappoint us. The circle chuckled softly. Maya caught Clara's worried glance. She bowed her head slightly. As you wish, ma'am. Jessica beamed. Wonderful. We'll make the announcement after dinner. As Maya retreated to the kitchen, Harold intercepted her. They're attempting to humiliate you, he cautioned. I know, Maya replied, voice steady but low, but I won't grant them that satisfaction. You have a choice, Maya, he said. You can refuse. She shook her head. If I refuse, they win. If I accept, I must decide how. Harold's gaze softened. You've always possessed more strength than they'll ever perceive. But the clock was ticking. The performance hour loomed and the trap was set. Maya stood in the narrow hallway outside the kitchen, her heart pounding. The muted hum of the gala permeated the walls. Laughter, clinking glasses, distant strains of the orchestra. Inside, Harold paced. Clara leaned against the wall, arms tightly folded. You don't have to do this, Clara urged. It's a trap, Maya exhaled slowly. I know they believe they're astute, Harold said, but they have no notion who they're dealing with. A memory flickered. Maya at 7, her mother tying satin ballet shoes around her small feet. The music, the discipline, the exquisite joy of movement. Years of training long forsaken for a life of duty and unassuming work. I used to dance, Maya whispered, before life changed. Harold's eyes glistened. For dessert, a special performance. One of our own, our lovely server, has graciously agreed to dance for us. A polite ripple of applause, smirks among the elite. Backstage, Maya inhaled, exhaled. She removed her apron, smoothed her simple black dress. No costume, no stage lights, just her and the floor. Clara squeezed her hand. Show them. Harold clasped her shoulder. You're not alone. The orchestra conductor approached quietly. Miss, any particular piece? Claire de Lune, Maya said softly. He nodded entreat. Veronica waited at the edge of the stage, eyes gleaming. Do enjoy yourself, she said, voice thick with mockery. Maya stepped onto the gleaming floor. The chatter diminished. The first notes of Claire de Lune floated through the air. Maya stood still for a beat, then movement. A turn, a slow unfolding of arms. Each step fluid, deliberate. Her body spoke a language none in the room comprehended. The smirks vanished. Brows lowered. The elite stared, mesmerized. Maya moved through the space with haunting grace, lines etched with quiet power. Every pivot spoke of discipline, every reach sang of long-buried aspirations. Jessica's jaw slackened. Carter frowned, shifting in his seat. Mr. Pierre Duval, seated near the front, leaned forward sharply. His practiced eye discerned the truth. This was no amateur. This was art. The final notes whispered into silence. Maya held her final pose, a simple, unbroken line. For a moment, not a clap, not a breath. Silence. And then a single voice, rich and resonant, exquisite. Mr. Duval rose to his feet. The room followed. A standing ovation swelled, shattering the stunned quiet. Maya lowered her arms, gaze calm. In that instant the power shifted. Veronica's smile faltered. Jessica's cheeks flushed. Carter looked away. And Maya Johnson. The ballroom hummed again after Maya's performance, but something had shifted. The applause had subsided, yet murmured conversations lingered with an air of disbelief. For some, the image of the elegant server moving with a dancer's grace was difficult to reconcile. At the rear table, Veronica Langford sat stiffly, her champagne in one hand, eyes darting. She wasn't supposed to be that, Jessica hissed. Carter Blake exhaled through his nose, jaw tight. She made us look like fools. She made you look like fools, came a voice nearby. It was Mr. Pierre Duval who had quietly approached their table. He offered a thin, knowing smile. I have witnessed many dancers, he said. She was not merely skilled, she was professionally trained. Jessica blinked. That can't be. Why not? Duval's gaze sharpened. Because she wears a server's uniform? Veronica composed herself quickly. She must have had some childhood lessons, nothing more. Wrong, Duval said, voice cool. She dances with a soul that training alone does not produce, and with technique few achieve. With that, he left them in stunned silence. Across the room, Clara found Maya backstage. You were incredible, she whispered. Maya shook her head. I didn't do it for them. Harold joined them, his voice low. You reclaimed the stage. But be ready. They won't appreciate that, Maya sighed. I know. At the elite table, a new conversation began. She embarrassed us, Jessica repeated, more to herself. So what do we do? Carter asked. Veronica leaned in, voice cold. We challenge her again. Jessica brightened. Another dance? No. Something harder. Let's bet on her. Veronica's smile was calculating. We wager she cannot perform twice. The first was luck, Carter's brow furrowed. You're serious? Of course, Veronica replied. Publicly we propose it. She either accepts and risks failing or refuses and proves us right. Jessica's eyes gleamed. Brilliant. The plan solidified. An announcement would be made at the gala's closing hour. In the dim hallway near the staff lounge, Harold and Clara stood with Maya as the final hour of the gala approached. They're plotting something, Harold warned. I overheard Blake and Langford talking about a public challenge. Maya rubbed her temple. Another dance? Worse, Harold said. A wager. They want to put you back on display, this time with the risk of public failure. They're calling it charity, Clara added, but it's a game. Maya exhaled. Of course. Harold's gaze softened. You've already shown them more than enough. I know, Maya said quietly, but walking away now gives them a victory. Then be ready, Harold said. Choose your own terms. Across the ballroom, Veronica whispered to the MC. Ladies and gentlemen, the man soon announced, to end our evening on a high note, the Langford Foundation proposes a friendly challenge. If our talented server will grace us with another performance, one more dance, we will pledge an additional $50,000 to the charity tonight. A murmur spread, heads turned. Jessica beamed. Carter watched Maya closely. Veronica's eyes locked on her across the room. Harold leaned in. It's your choice. Maya stood tall. I'll accept. But this time it will be my dance, my way. Clara squeezed her hand. We're behind you. Maya stepped forward. I accept, she called clearly. But no stage. Clear the floor. I will dance where I stand. A gasp rippled through the crowd. Veronica's smile thinned. The MC hesitated, then nodded. As you wish. The guests cleared space around Maya. The orchestra waited. Maya took one breath, centered herself, and prepared. The ballroom seemed smaller now, with a wide, open circle cleared in its center. Guests crowded at the edges, their polished shoes just inches from the marble expanse where Maya now stood alone. Maya's heart thrummed, but her expression remained composed. Around her, the hum of whispered speculation filled the air. She won't dare try, Carter added, arms crossed. At the front, Veronica offered a thin-lipped smile, her eyes gleaming with anticipation. Maya ignored them all. She turned to the orchestra conductor. I would like no accompaniment. The conductor blinked. No music. None, Maya said firmly. A ripple of curiosity spread through the audience. She's going to embarrass herself, Jessica whispered. But Harold, watching from the side with Clara, smiled faintly. Watch closely. Maya took her place in the center. Silence settled over the room, thicker than before. She closed her eyes. And then movement. Barefoot on the marble, Maya began with the subtlest of gestures. A shift of weight, a graceful arc of her arm through the still air. Her body responded not to music but to memory, to pulse. Every step was deliberate, every pause spoke volumes. She turned slowly, a long fluid spiral. The movement was raw, No polished stage effect, no flourish to please the elite. It was pure expression. The audience leaned in spellbound. Jessica's smirk faded. Carter frowned. Veronica's gaze sharpened, but her confidence wavered. Maya danced as though alone in a vast space, her body tracing invisible patterns through the air. Each leap was controlled, each landing soft. Her bare feet whispered against the marble. She poured years of unspoken feeling into her movements. Loss, endurance, quiet strength. When she finally stilled, poised with one arm reaching skyward, the room held its breath. And then nothing. No clapping, no laughter, no snide remarks. Just stunned silence. Mr. Duval rose once more, eyes shining. "She has elevated the art," he said softly. Harold whispered to Clara, "She owns this room now." Veronica remained frozen, jaw tight. Jessica swallowed hard. She wasn't supposed to do that. Maya met their gaze, undefined. For the second time that night, the power had shifted and Maya Johnson, without a single note of music, had left the room in silence. The ballroom remained hushed after Maya's second performance. Guests exchanged glances, uncertain whether to applaud or remain in stunned respect. For the first time that evening, the room wasn't ruled by the elite voices. Maya calmly retrieved her apron from Clara backstage. Her breath was steady but her mind raced. Harold approached. "You've done more than anyone expected." Maya's eyes met his. "This isn't finished." "No," Harold said quietly. "They're rattled and rattled people lash out." As if on cue, Veronica called to the MC again. Moments later, the man announced, "A final word from our host, Mrs. Langford." Maya stepped behind a pillar, listening. Veronica's voice echoed through the hall. "We thank all who contributed tonight, especially our. Though talent sometimes appears in unexpected places, we must remember the true stars of the evening are our honored donors." A polite, forced applause followed. Jessica leaned toward Veronica. "That's all." Veronica's smile was tight. "For now. We don't elevate the help." Meanwhile, Clara tugged Maya aside. "Are you leaving?" "I'm thinking," Maya said. Harold stepped in. "You owe them nothing." "But the room, did you feel it? They saw you, not just a server." Maya looked toward the marble floor. "That's why I need to decide carefully." "You could walk away now, head high," Clara urged. But Maya's gaze hardened. "Or I could finish this on my own terms." The orchestra began packing up. Guests filtered toward the exits. Then Mr. Pierre Duval approached Maya, eyes kind. "Miss Johnson," he said softly, "you have a gift. May I ask who trained you?" Maya hesitated. "My mother before she passed. I must go, but know this. Tonight you revealed more than they could bear. That is victory." With a graceful bow, he departed. Harold smiled faintly. "The choice is yours now." Maya exhaled. "I will not run. But next it will be my decision." Clara squeezed her hand. "Whatever you choose, we're with you." Outside, limousines lined the driveway. The night air buzzed with subdued chatter. And inside, Maya Johnson prepared for the final move. The Langford Estates marble hall gleamed under chandeliers now dimmed for the gala's close. The elite guests gathered near the entrance, exchanging farewells and final boasts. Yet none spoke freely about Maya's performance. Their silence held unspoken unease. Jessica paced beside Veronica, fuming. "We should have stopped her." "We will not be undone by a servant," Veronica hissed. "This will pass." But nearby, Carter remained unusually quiet, eyes narrowed in thought. Maya re-entered the ballroom quietly, apron folded under her arm. Clara and Harold stood with her. "They think it's over," Harold said. "It isn't," Maya replied softly. Clara glanced around nervously. "What are you going to do?" Maya's gaze was steady. "Finish what they began." She stepped forward, walking calmly to the center of the room. Several guests turned, watching curiously. Then Maya spoke, her voice clear and even. "Ladies and gentlemen, earlier tonight I was asked to dance as a joke." A ripple of murmurs spread. Maya continued, "But the stage does not belong to those who mock from the shadows. It belongs to those who stand in the light." Harold's lips twitched upward. Clara covered her mouth, eyes wide. Maya removed her apron fully now, folding it carefully and setting it aside. "I offer one final dance. This time not because I was told but because I choose." Gasps echoed. "She can't." Miss Johnson. Maya smiled faintly. Oh. One last time alone. She stepped once more into the cleared circle, bare feet whispering against the marble. Silence fell. Then movement. Maya danced without preamble, her body weaving fluid arcs through space. There was no measured tempo, no rehearsed form, just raw expression. Grief, resilience, defiance all poured through her. A slow pirouette melted into a grounded crouch, arms sweeping wide. A sudden leap carried her across the floor. Breathless but unwavering, Maya embodied the dance as though born from it. Jessica sat frozen. Carter's brow furrowed deeper. At the edge of the room, Mr. Duval had returned quietly. He watched, a small smile playing at his lips. Veronica gripped her champagne flute so tightly her knuckles whitened. Maya moved faster now, each transition effortless. Sweat beaded at her temple, but her focus never wavered. The room seemed smaller, the space intimate. And then stillness. She held her final pose, arms open, face calm. For a full breath, the room remained transfixed. Then Mr. Duval clapped once, slow and deliberate. Others followed. Within moments, the entire room erupted in applause. Not polite, not forced, genuine. Maya lowered her arms and stepped back, head high. Harold whispered, "You won." Clara beamed through tears. Maya turned, ready to leave the circle, when Veronica stood abruptly. "Enough of this." Veronica snapped. "This is a charity gala, not a spectacle." But Carter surprisingly stood as well. She earned this moment. Jessica looked from one to the other, stunned. Maya said nothing. She bowed once and turned to go. In that moment, the balance of the night was clear. The stage now belonged to her. Maya stepped away from the center of the ballroom, her breath slowing. Applause faded into respectful quiet, a stark contrast to the earlier mockery. She approached Harold and Claire at the side. "You did it." Clara whispered, eyes shining. Harold smiled. "They'll remember this long after tonight." Across the room, Veronica fumed. Jessica stared, speechless. Carter remained standing, gaze unreadable. Guests whispered as Maya moved past them, no longer invisible. Mr. Duval approached once more. "I must speak plainly," he said. "You possess a gift. Should you wish to pursue it further, I would gladly assist." Maya bowed her head. "Thank you, sir, but tonight I dance for myself." "Then you've succeeded beyond measure," Duval replied, eyes warm. Harold placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You've changed the story tonight." Jessica leaned toward Veronica, voice tight. "She ruined your event." "No," Veronica said through clenched teeth. "She stole attention, but the guests will forget." But even as she spoke, several guests approached Maya. "Exquisite," one murmured. "Inspiring," another added. The tide had turned. Carter finally spoke, addressing Veronica. "Perhaps the room has shifted more than you think." Jessica looked between them, flustered. Meanwhile, Maya retrieved her folded apron and slipped it into her bag. She straightened her simple dress and prepared to leave. Harold joined her at the door. "You've more than earned your exit." Clara hugged her tightly. Maya smiled softly, and almost showed them what they refused to see. At the entrance, Mr. Duval offered a final nod of respect. "If you ever choose the stage again, my invitation stands." Behind her, the echoes of her final dance lingered, and inside the Langford estate, a room full of the elite faced an uncomfortable truth. A simple woman had stood alone and left them in silence. Inside the ballroom, after Maya's quiet exit, the atmosphere remained strained. Conversations resumed but lacked the earlier confidence. Veronica's words seemed hollow as she tried to reclaim control. At a side table, Mr. Pierre Duval spoke softly with several influential guests. "She was extraordinary," one whispered. "Remarkable discipline," another added. "Where did she train?" Duval smiled thinly. "She is not a hobbyist. Her foundation was laid by someone of great skill." Across the room, Veronica approached them briskly. "Ah, Mr. Duval. You seemed rather taken with our entertainment." Duval turned, his expression cool. "Not entertainment. Art." Veronica stiffened. "A server with some old dance lessons is hardly." Nearby, Carter joined the circle. "He's right. We misjudged her." Jessica hovered nervously, silent. Duval's gaze sharpened. "More than that, you sought to humiliate her. yet she showed more grace than anyone here tonight. The words hung heavy. Carter folded his arms. Perhaps we owe her an apology. Veronica's eyes flashed. Ridiculous. Duval cut her off again, voice rising. Oh, you called her forth to be mocked, yet she stood, she danced, and she changed this room. That is no small thing. A murmur rippled through the surrounding guests. Veronica's mask slipped for a moment. She manipulated us. Duval's smile was faint. No, madam. You attempted to manipulate her and failed. Jessica finally spoke, voice low. We should have left her alone. Duval inclined his head. You still can. But no retort came. Carter sighed. I'll be sending a donation in her name. It's the least we can do. Jessica nodded silently. Word spread quickly through the remaining guests. The server they'd tried to mock had outshone them all. As dawn approached, the gala staff gathered to debrief in the service wing. Maya, now in simple street clothes, sat quietly beside Harold and Clara. They're still buzzing out there, Clara said, eyes wide. About you. Harold nodded. Duval told the truth loud enough for them all to hear. Maya shook her head. Meanwhile, in the main house, Veronica paced the private lounge. Jessica perched tensely nearby. Damage control, Veronica muttered. We must own the narrative. Jessica hesitated. Veronica, maybe we should just apologize. Veronica spun. Never. If we concede, we lose control. Carter entered then, jacket over one shoulder. You already lost it. The room knows what happened. Jessica looked between them, uncertain. I'm donating in her name, Carter continued, and advising others to do the same. You'll embarrass this family. Veronica snapped. You already did, Carter said firmly. Jessica swallowed. He's right. Veronica's glare softened into something colder. If anyone asks, we supported her all along. She was meant to be celebrated. Lying won't erase what we did, Jessica whispered. Carter sighed. Do what you like, Veronica, but I'll tell the truth. He left. Jessica lingered, torn, then followed. Back in the service wing, Mr. Duval approached Maya quietly. I am arranging a scholarship, he said, for dancers with untapped potential. I'd like your name on it. Maya blinked. You would honor me that way? No, Duval replied. You honored yourself. I merely acknowledge it. He handed her a card. If you ever wish to return to the stage, call. Harold smiled proudly. Maya tucked the card into her pocket. Thank you for tonight. That's enough. Clara hugged her tightly. I hope they choke on their champagne. Maya laughed softly. Let them. Outside, dawn's first light touched the estate, and inside, the echoes of one simple woman's choice lingered, stronger than any of the elite's carefully spun tales. The sun was rising when Maya finally stepped out into the cool morning air. Harold and Clara walked beside her down the long driveway, now empty of limousines and gowns. You changed something in there, Harold said softly. Maya shrugged gently. I changed myself. Clara grinned. You changed me too. Harold replied, and it was more than enough. Clara hugged her again. See you soon. Of course, Maya smiled. They parted ways. Maya sat quietly in her old sedan for a moment. The fatigue of the night settled over her, but beneath it, peace. She glanced at the card Duval had given her. An open door, but not today. Today she had reclaimed her voice. She started the engine, the soft hum breaking the silence. And as the Langford estate disappeared in the rearview mirror, Maya Johnson, once asked to dance as a joke, left the night behind, head high. In every room, on every stage, never underestimate the person you overlook. Maya's story reminds us that talent, courage, and grace exist in every walk of life, and that true character shines brightest when the odds are against us. We all have unseen gifts. What matters is how we choose to reveal them. If this story inspired you, like this video and subscribe to this channel for more real, powerful stories that deserve to be heard. Your support helps us continue sharing voices that challenge, uplift, and move us all. Together, let's honor the strength in every unseen soul.